Doing, Eddie? I'm Britt. This is James.
Hey, Britt.
Very nice to meet you. Big fan. I had your posters all over my walls back in the day.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. How do we
Pulling
get
out of magazines.
There it is. All right. Now I get to see everybody at the same time.
Yeah, as did I, man. And dude, where are you at right now, Eddie?
I am in Temecula, California, in my garage, hanging out.
Oh, cool. So
Nice.
you grew up in Bellflower?
Yes.
And that's Los Angeles, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Bellflower is near Lakewood, Long Beach, in Los Angeles area. So
It had to be so cool growing up at that time. Just, I mean, we were reading about you. I was in Jersey reading about this, just like this faraway dream. It just seems so exotic to me.
it's Southern California. There's nothing to complain about, right? So I mean, we got to ride bikes, we rode skateboards, we knew it down to the beach. We were kids in the early 80s that when we left the house, the mom and dad, and they didn't care until we got home.
It was such a different era, right? That's what James and me were talking. We were interviewing him about his Dio book. And he said, I said, when'd you listen to your music? He goes, well, I used to take my twerker to the woods with the big boom box. And I go, that was it. That was growing up, and so much freedom and so much joy, man.
Yeah. And it's funny is that when you say, when we're going riding, and this is and I've said this before on some of the other interviews, is that when Dogtown and Z-Boys, they had all this behind the scenes vintage footage of all their skateboarding and things like that, where skateboarders had friends who didn't really skateboard, but they had cameras,
Right?
And all the guys who rode bikes. We didn't
whoa, man, that's heavy.
Right? If you were going to go out riding,
you're right.
The only people that hung out with you were the people who weren't riding.
Right.
The only person that hung out with you was your friend. I remember a lot of collarbone injuries growing up on bikes. Like Jimmy Shandell broke his collarbone. Jimmy, that was the only guy that wasn't riding, was the collarbone kid. You know what I mean?
I was there many times.
Man, oh man, James, you had some questions for Eddie, because my mind is just blown.
I did. Yeah, it's just amazing to be able to talk to you. After reading about you and growing up with you, and I have a question. What was your routine like to stay in shape and to stay competitive back in the day? I mean, the competition must have been fierce. Were you riding daily and practicing daily or weekly? What was that like?
It was definitely a daily event that we rode. I tell a lot of people, the best workout for riding is riding. There's nothing else that I do or did back in the day. We just rode our bikes. I mean, we woke up in the morning, we rode our bikes until we got home, and during school, when I was, early ages, soon as school was out, we were done riding our bikes, and we were there until the street lights came on. So
sure. That's when I had to be home. When basically when it got dark, we would leave in the morning. We would ride our bikes. My best friend and I talk about it. We would probably ride our bikes 50 miles a day. And all day we would be down at the jumps on 13th Street, and we had ramps set up, and we would be doing freestyle. I mean, it was amazing, an amazing time. There would literally be 30, 40, 50 kids, and it would just be a wall of chrome. Chrome bicycles. Unbelievable.
It was insane. What to me is I had Dave Ellefson from Megadeth on, and he reminds me in a way I could connect them to you of like, you're in the 80s and you're writing a template for all of us. This hasn't been written. You're writing this thing that to this day, it freaks me out when I go to Foster's Freeze with my mom. I'm 51, and 3 kids pull up still basically on the template you and your crew wrote. What was that like, writing a template?
Yeah, so it's funny is that people say, oh, you guys are old school, you're old school. We're not even old school, we're preschool. We're so old it's new. I go down to the skate park and I do tricks from the 80s that these kids have never ever seen, and they think, oh, are you a pro? Are you sponsored? Are you that? I'm going, no, they're just really old tricks you've never seen. and you know, the kids don't have any brakes on their bikes, so I'm doing tricks with brakes and a gyro and pegs, and they have no idea what they're seeing, but they like it. And it's funny is that you know, all these, I go to the skate park, and that's where all these kids are. I'm going, you understand that if you did a little bit of flat land, you could do it right in front of your house, and it wouldn't take the skate park to do it in. You don't need ramps. You don't need, you know, a skate park. You could do it anywhere. And that's how come I think the big wheelie craze is going on right now with the big bikes, because you can do that anywhere.
That's a big, you know, I live by Oakland, and there's been a big urban influx of BMX into like Oakland and stuff, and it almost as a weapon of a wheelie, like, look what I can do through everybody. What do you think of that urban influx of just BMX? Like, it's wild, man.
It is wild. It's a little bit, you know, I grew up as, you know, having some respect for my elders and, you know, older people, and you know, driving in cars and things like that. It's just, you know, when I was sponsored, it was, you know, portraying the best person that you could be, and not piss anybody off. So that the urban stuff is a little bit, they've got skills,
Yeah.
but you know, I'm sure there's a place and time for everything.
Yeah. How did you keep it together? I watched old interviews. How at that age, like, I mean, there's few rock stars that you and Tony Hawk, like, how do you keep it together? Dude, you go into 7-Eleven and you're on the cover. Come on, man. Like, what is that like when you're that young? I mean, how do you just keep it together?
Yeah, that, you know, hey, it's as amazing for me as it is for, you know, anyone else. And you know, going in there and you know, seeing your picture on the magazine and in any of the places that carried them, and then being noticed, you know, back in the 80s, if you were on your bike, or, you know, people that were into riding bikes knew who I was, and could, you know, picture me. And I was talking to some people that came down to Huntington Beach last week on Tuesday at our HB Tuesday gatherings, and I was trying to explain to the kids what the dad was going through. And you know, the dad had pictures from the magazines on the walls, and I'm trying to explain to the kids that, you know, every day he woke up, every day he went to sleep, he looked at these magazine covers, he looked at these magazine pictures, and he's seen these guys that he wanted to emulate, you know, doing the cross-ups and the look backs and the big airs. And you know, every day he's seen this, and now he's sitting in Huntington Beach like you guys are right now, and they're talking to me, and yeah, I'm just another guy. I'm just having fun. Just riding a bike.
It's so wild, because what you started, one of my best friends, Jamie Scrapp, him and his daughter have found a bond over BMX. I mean, they were searching for, what are we going to bond on? And they're going to the jumps. And it's like, it's so weird that this is one of the few bonds that bring generations together. And there's not a big, not too many walls in the BMX world of father, daughter, father, son, mother, daughter, mother, son with BMX.
Well, I also, it's a great family thing also, because, you know, it's not like surfing, you know, where if you don't know what you're doing, you're no good. You're a kook, you know, go, you know, surf somewhere else. Where we're at the skate park or at the pump track right now, you know, there are kids who don't know the rhythm and don't know how to, you know, get that pump going. And I'm trying to explain, and other kids are everybody is helping anybody. And, you know, if there's a tool that needs to be, hey, I got one in my truck, and I, you know, lend it to anybody, you know, just as long as they get out there and they're riding and having fun.
That's awesome.
Wow. So, I have a question. How great was it to win? I remember King of the Skate Park. How great, you won that like 4 times.
Right. So I did win it a couple times. And I don't know if you know this, but like every season there was one big trophy. We won individual trophies for that day, but at the end of the season, we won a big, I mean, it's a trophy. And at the end of the series, you got to take that trophy home. So I had it for 3 times. And then Mike had it once. I think Brian had it once. And at the very last series, I still own it. So since there is no more king of the skate parks. I'm reigning king and still have the trophy.
Now, I know you had a huge rivalry with Mike Dominguez. I used to think about that.
It's funny about, you know, it's not really a rivalry. It was a camaraderie, more or less, because we got along and we had fun riding together. I would give him a ride to the skate park sometimes. And, you know, the things that we didn't do. And sometimes, you know, I'd try to show up before he would show up and try to get a couple extra runs or try a couple extra tricks that he's never seen. But for the most part, we were really good friends.
Nice. Yeah, he's another great one.
You're, so there's this cool site I found. You have this new frame, the FE. I don't know if it's new, but FE Performer. Am I saying it right? Your new
so EF Performer. It's an Eddie Fiola Performer. Well, we changed the Performer name to it was Proformer, and then I got a letter from GT saying it's too close.
Oh, okay.
And so I cut the sticker in half and swapped the sides. So now it's a EF Former Pro.
And I feel like looking at this, it's just, I have to go 20-inch. My neighbors go, well, you're too old to be on that 20-inch bike. I'm like, it's like candy and comfort food to me. So I really am looking at the 20-inch because it just gives me that feeling. Can you tell us about the frame and so the frame is we tried to duplicate what it looks like when I did that GT ad where I'm sitting on and we didn't invent freestyle, we just perfected it. It's a yellow frame, white tough wheels, and what we did do is we made it look like an old school Performer, right?
But it rides like a new school fit, cult, all the new geometry that there is out there today. The reason we didn't know any better back in the day. Right. We literally rode the GT race bike. It was a Mach 1. It was an Interceptor. We didn't change the geometry at all for doing freestyle back when we were making the freestyle bikes. So all the new geometry is better. It's got the European bottom bracket or the mid-size bottom bracket. It's a 4130 chromoly. The company that makes them for me is Supercross BMX, okay. And they like hold the numbers in BMX racing. So if you ever go to any BMX track, there's definitely a Supercross on the line. So.
Oh, wow. And so this has to do, because I'm very confused by growing up on BMX bikes, this evolution, like you say, to street BMX bikes with no brakes, smaller sprockets. How do you feel about that? I get confused by that.
All right. So the smaller sprocket and so the normal back in the day, we used to run a 4416. Mm-hmm. And the new school is a 25/9. In reality, it's the exact same gear ratio. It's just in a smaller dimension. And I didn't understand why we went to a smaller one other than using, more areas so that we can, what's the word I'm looking for? Coverage, not coverage. We wouldn't hit the sprocket. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So I asked why the BMX racers didn't use it, since it's the same the same gear ratio, and they had said the chain distributes more gear torque through more teeth with a bigger gear. Okay, okay, that makes sense, because they're in the big torque, and we're just doing freestyle. So
okay,
that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Man. Hey, how about the prices of these vintage bikes nowadays? I've been online looking for a vintage torquer, either a 20 or a 24. The prices are through the roof. I mean, I'm talking $2,000 and $3,000 just for a vintage frame from the 80s.
Yeah, man, believe me, if I had every frame that I got from GT, it's funny is that when I rode for GT, I was literally the poster child, and they wanted me to be as professional as I could. So anytime my bike had a scratch, or if it was dirty, or if it didn't look right, they gave me a new bike. So every competition I rode a new bike, or during, and coming out with new colors. I would always have a new looking bike so that the kids would want that and they'd sell more bikes. So, and then, you know, they don't want the bikes back. So when I got home from a tour or for competition and I had another bike sitting in a box, you know, the neighbors had bikes, the cousins had
Oh,
bikes.
that's so cool.
Everybody had, if I had every single bike that I ever rode, I'd be in the money.
Do you still have, you know, what did your parents think when you got the Kuwahara ET bike? I mean, that had to be, that was a big moment in culture, not just BMX and in
Right. So
time.
that back in the day, you know, and I was still in high school.
Oh my gosh.
It was my senior year. And I had to do a tour for Kuwahara promoting ET in Japan.
Oh my,
And
Wow.
yeah, it was great, you know, and when I came back, the some of the teachers gave me extra credit for learning about the culture
oh
and
wow.
being somewhere, right? Uh it was great. It was you know, something that was, you know, not every kid got to go through. And you know, what was weird is that, you know, I wasn't part of the clique or the clans or the people that were in the school. I wasn't part of the football team, you know, and basketball or any sports. I rode my bike, and I was the guy that oh, that's that bike guy, you know. So I was that guy. So
What made you drop in the pool the first time when you drive 80s, 70s, 70, whatever, to just drop in that first time? What was that moment? Because you were one of the first ones in the pools.
yeah, so you know, watching the skateboarders rolling in and dropping in, it was pretty much emulating them. It's watching, you know, I rode the Lakewood skate park a lot, and literally watching those guys ride and doing the small airs out where we just made it bigger. We went higher, we went faster, and we got it done. So just watching the skateboarders and trying to emulate them, that's what made it happen.
Do you remember the first time you dropped in the feeling?
You know, it's been, I could say I'd have that feeling every single time I drop in.
That's, yeah.
So yeah, I don't remember the first time, but it's the same feeling every single
Right.
time.
Wow,
Sure, sure.
man.
That's
And I
unbelievable.
want to ask you, what was your soundtrack then, and what is your soundtrack now? Because music, BMX, it all ties in together.
It's literally 80s music, and I still love it today. I listen to Oingo Boingo, Devo, you know, all the 80s music. You know, it's just the stuff that we like to do. And you know, and I don't consider myself being the competitor, more a showman
Right.
and an entertainer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Man, I remember the first time I saw the Harrow Tour, I think 82. I don't think you were there in 82, right? The 81 or 82 freestyle tour
no,
in Howell,
no.
New Jersey. And it just blew my mind of what could another guy that's just legend. Harrow was just so cool and so cool
Right.
to
So
us as kids.
was Bob Morales with him at that time?
I
Mm.
think you're right. Yeah, yeah. It was so weird. They just set up a van and pulled up with two like you think they were so young, and it scarred me for life. It did damage, it did joy. It was just, I mean, your bike was all you dreamed about. I remember just having nightmares if I nicked my frame. It was all you dreamed about was your bike as a kid.
And that was our freedom too. I mean, like you said, you
Yeah.
know, like in soon as school was out, that we took our bikes and we left and we were gone. Our parents had no idea where we were. And you know, and it's funny that I think this now, and I have a daughter that you know, I don't let her out of my sight.
Of
I
course
got
not.
an
No,
app.
yeah.
I have an app. I know exactly where she's
That's
at.
awesome.
So it's really hard, you know, on how our parents, you know, just let us go that easy. And you know, we grew up fine, I think.
Those were the
Totally.
times. Those were the times.
So I mean, BMX, arcades, heavy metal, not you know, I mean, just it all just fed, and it was beautiful, man. And I mean, and just such a cool time. And you wrote the book. You wrote the book for us. What do you feel when you just start like getting an ice cream and you see three kids pull up on BMX bikes? I mean, is that?
Oh, I go, they have no idea. They have I just so want to take their bikes and do something on them and go, and you have no idea who I am or what I've done, or the places I've seen or the tricks that I've done that now you're doing. And I don't like feeling or saying that it's I'm fat-headed or but there wasn't anything before us.
You invented it. You wrote the template. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
right,
like
that's
you
right.
really like if people are using a light bulb and you're Thomas Edison, you're like you know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
this. You guys, you remind me a lot, and you might not agree, but Eddie Van Halen, the way you were just like Eddie went in and was just mixing part. Like I see you with one tough wheel in the back, one spoke in the front, like his monster guitars of.
Right.
I'm just writing this, man.
Yeah, whatever it took. We just rode. We had fun. If something was broke, we borrowed and used somebody else's, or did whatever we needed to do, and got to ride that day. So we do that now. I mean, we whatever it takes to go out and ride and have fun. We try to be as safe as we can. The other day I use the pump track a lot because it's a fun in between BMX racing and skate park riding, but it almost feels like I'm pumping for a bowl.
What's a pump track? Is it a place, or I'm confused?
So there's a place there's a company that makes these tracks, and they're called pump tracks, and it's a company called Velo Solutions, and it's literally a BMX track, but it's a single lane, and it's a roller, right? And then you gain speed. And if you have enough speed, you can connect the two rollers to a jump. And then they've got berms that are almost vertical. And then they also have some berms that have wall rides on them. So you jump out of the berm, onto the wall ride, back onto the berm. It's kind of fun, but it's made for all ages. I see kids that there are 2 years old and on Strider bikes, and I see scooters, and I see old people out there, on beach cruisers. It's just so adaptive that anybody can go out and ride, but they're all having a smile on their face, and it's exercise. And if you ride this right and you ride it hard, one lap will tear you up.
Man. Well, James. I mean, I could go forever, but I want to thank you for the joy, and I love that you share this because it's just such a part for so many people. And you just, whenever you're in a bad mood, even whatever level you take, you hop on that bike, it's freedom. And you wrote that template, man. It's just, I said BMX to me feels like still like being a kid and looking at the candy aisle in 7-Eleven, that joy of all those colors, and it's just something, and that just, it brings so much joy. And thank you for writing that template for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I like the 80s and the old school stuff because it was so colorful, and everybody was an individual, and you took pride in what your bike looked like. And I don't think the kids are at that point yet in time. Again, I know it's going to be a cycle. They'll get back into it, but a lot of black frames, no names, no stickers, and it's just the bike. They're not, when we were growing up, from across the street, we could say, oh, look at that GT. Oh, look at that Hutch.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Mhm.
It from anywhere at any distance, you knew what type of bike that guy was riding.
We used to take steel wool and polish our individual spokes. They would be like chrome at night and shine in the light. It was unbelievable how beautiful those things.
That's why I always felt like the bikes look like Eddie Van Halen's guitars. They just were edgy, but yes, yet just a mishmash of colors. You know what I mean? Like the Mike Buff bike. Could it be any more like, looks like
Right.
I bought one just because I could just stare at it. Just puts me in a good mood. And
Have you, so that the Mike Buff bike, it looks great. And did you see the EF former pro, the one that Supercross is making?
I did. I want to get one, man. It just ooh. What kind of wheels are those on it? What kind of wheels are those?
So those are, I think I even have some in the back right there.
Yeah, I see them. Yeah, yes.
Right. So they're Skyway Tough Wheels.
Oh, I did one inside. I'm like, Skyway, you're like candy when you're a kid. I love it. Skyway's still doing it.
So the thing is that, so Skyway, we had to make a deal with Skyway. We wanted 50 sets, and we needed them to be different than all the rest. So we had them do a white but we had them do the flange in the, remember the graphites, the ones that were really expensive, the all black graphites with the gold hubs.
Yeah.
Right. Well, these have gold hubs in them.
Ooh.
And so the only white wheel that has a gold hub, and not only that is that it's got a 9-tooth rear sprocket. So it's kind of cool.
That's my next bike. My next bike. It's just that I'm going to put a link to everybody where they can get the bike if they choose to buy one. I mean, we have
legendsbikeco.com,
and it's cool. You got a few other legends there actually doing their things. But there's a few other legends with parts.
Yeah,
and
a couple racers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely I love that it's the Skyway, man. I didn't want to ask him, like, what if it's not? You know what I mean? And it's a copy of Skyway. Even the shirt as a kid was just so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had one of those.
Man,
I wanted to ask you real quick. You became a stunt man.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. That's interesting.
What's funny is that, for as many years as I rode my bike, I got paid to ride my bike, and then I found out that I could get paid to fall off my bike. So, and I was good at that. When somebody tells you, hey, you got to fall here and you land here, that's easy peasy. I don't have any problem with that. Where, some of these kids, and I've done some commercials where I was the stunt double or the backup for the kid. So it was a Eastpak backpack commercial. And they had hired this kid who was a number one in the world, 14 over expert, right? He's 14 years old, and he was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, kid next door. And they had hired him to ride this bike out of the garage, into the backyard, onto the swimming pool diving board, and then launch off of it and then land on his back with the backpack on. And he says, "Oh, I got this. And the stunt coordinator who hired me says, "I just got you here just in case." I said, "Okay." And the kid, again, you have no idea. They have no idea who I am or what I did. And so this kid, every time he jumped off the diving board, he'd throw his bike out in front of him and land on his feet. And he just couldn't land on his back because his whole life, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I found out how to figure out how to commit to landing on your back. And I've done stunts where, where I've been thrown off buildings, hit by cars, been shot, T-boned by motorcycles, and I've done everything except been put on fire. So that's the only thing I kind of hold my skin not to do.
Man. And obviously the Holy Grail, Rad, you were the stuntman for Rad, and supposedly Rad was based a little bit on your life.
Yeah. So what was funny is that prior to the movie coming out, the director and the screenwriter, they all came to my house while I was, BMX is big at this point in time, and they want to make a movie, and they want to make a feel-good type style movie. They came to my house, and I was on top at the time, and asked me a bunch of questions. Couple months pass by, and then I get a phone call saying, "Hey, we'd like you to, be in this movie and do the stunts for our actor." And what's funny is that I had found out that they had hired the actor after they hired me. So they actually hired somebody that looked like me, and they had to dye his hair darker, and they had to lighten my skin up a little bit, and it turned out really good. So we had a lot of fun time. And that was Talia Shire, who was the what is it? They owned all the rights to the movie from Talia Films.
Okay. Well, it's great that it finally came out. Well, thank you so much, Eddie. James, I don't know if you have any other. I know we could sit here all day, but man, this is my favorite. I'm going to say one of my favorite interviews ever. This is
good. Hey, if you guys have anything, if you can remember anything later on, you want to do this again, hey, I'm all up for it. So
awesome. And I'm going to put links to everything. I mean, we're gonna sell some bikes. I'm sure. I know I'm buying one, man.
Very cool.
And you know what I got to say real quick is like, it's so great when you meet someone and you don't feel like a jackass for being a fan of them. It actually makes your whole existence, like from being a kid, even better. It actually goes, I'm glad.
I'm just another guy. And you got to think of where I rode my bike. I had fun. I didn't think I was a rock star at this point in time, you know, and I didn't realize how many people, you know, I influenced or gave them hope or did things. I've had people come up to me and said, hey, you know, I saw you do a show. I started looking at the magazines. I was into drugs. I got a bike. I got out of drugs. I saved my life. I got married. I had a kid. I want to thank you. And I'm going goosebumps, you know, and just I didn't think I could do that or did that to anybody, but it's been multiple people that have told me about it, and it's a feel good deal. So
that's awesome.
You are an icon.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And James, thank you so much for making this happen, man.
Wonderful. I got to talk to one of my boyhood heroes. I mean, I had posters of you and Mike Dominguez and Harry Leary on my wall. You know, it's an honor.
Man.
Very well, I appreciate it. And like I said, anytime you guys have any questions, let's do it up.
I'm going to do it the next time sitting on my FE Perform. I keep saying it wrong, I'm sure, but I'll be sitting doing the interview from my 20-inch that people give me shit, but I go 20-inch.
I want a 24.
I want 20.
Is the bike going to come in 24?
I got a 26. I got a 26 a 26-inch dirt jumper that I've been riding at the pump track. So that's what I really like at the pump track. When I do flatland and freestyle, I like to use my 20-inch, you know, with my Skyways.
Oh, right. The Skyways is just what sold it like 26. Candy, man. Oh. All right, guys. Well, we'll be in touch, and I'll let you know when I'm going to put this up. And thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
you got it.
All right. Thank you.
Both
Bye.
of you.
All right,
Bye.
we're out.
Bye.
Where's the out button?